Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're taking a look at the 2024 Laphroaig Cairdeas. Dustin, we have a love-hate relationship with Laphroaig Cairdeas, but this time, it's a 10-year-old. Not only that, they combine two of my favorite recent releases, the Triple Wood and the PX, 52.4 and aged it longer.
Read the name of it, Mike.
Cairdeas, 10-year-old, Laphroaig.
Cask Favorites.
Yes.
They're telling you right there, we heard what you liked, and we're going to give you a better version.
What is the cask? Let us tell you. Well, the Triple Wood was bourbon, quarter cask, Oloroso. The PX was bourbon, quarter cask, PX. Mm-hmm. I did quite a bit of research on that. So the question I have is, does this have Oloroso and PX in it? My guess would be yes, but I didn't see anywhere where it said that specifically. If anyone can help me out with that, I'd love to know for sure.
It's a good point because on the actual bottle, it mentions everything but Oloroso.
But the Triple Wood was Oloroso.
Yeah. So, whatever.
So Dustin got this bottle and called me instantly. He was like, hey, Mike, you got to get multiple versions of this Cairdeas.
And Mike's like, really?
Really? He's like, yeah, it's awesome. And it's 10 years old, so we got age same, so it's a little bit older. And Dustin, just so you know, I saw it. Still on my labels, too. My hand is consistent.
Well, back in the day, Mike actually used to take his shirt and rub it, and avoid that.
Dude on the side.
And then somebody started calling him out for it.
On my arm, too.
You'd have a long sleeve dress shirt on. I'm like, oh, I should wash this. One other note to make, Mike, and they have it here where you can't see it, but it's been pressed on here. But this is 30 years of something. I can't really remember.
Oh, Friends of Laphroaig. It's 30 years of Friends of Laphroaig. Yeah. Forgive me. I should have let off.
So another big special thing here, so that's why they went crazy. And then, of course, they did the weird thing, which I wish I remember who told us. But the proof, Mike, or the ABV, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the story on that?
Yeah. So if it's not cask strength, the point digit, meaning this is 52.4. So the 4 means 2024.
Well, the 2, 24. So I hope that when we get to 2030, I don't know, maybe it'll be 53.0. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that was clever. And I went back and looked at all my bottles. The ones that aren't cask strength, like the Fino and everything, that's exactly what they are.
They don't say cask strength, so that way, if you ever wonder what year it was.
This is 24.
A little disappointed because both the Triple Wood and the PX were close to 60. But let's get into it, Mike.
Yeah, so I compared all three. So we may do that at some point, compare all three of those whiskeys.
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you right away, this is so much more dense, refined, and clearly older whiskey.
Well, the other big thing I pick up, Mike, is it's fresher fruits. If you go into the Triple Wood and especially the PX, they're dark, dirty fruit.
Chalky too in the PX.
Yes. And
this is juicy.
And then there's a little bit of there's stinginess on the Triple Wood, which I don't know if it's the alcohol or the fruit notes, but this is very bright comparatively. Now that said, it's dark, dirty Laphroaig, so let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Yes.
It's a dark, dirty whiskey.
Now, I enjoyed the PX quite a bit. I was super impressed with that PX when it came out. The other year was great. Finally, we got a little disappointed last couple of years. This one's a good one. This one blows the PX away. It came, again, the old PX came off chalky, where this comes off full, rich, round, and super fruity.
No, I do still get iodine. I definitely get candy cigars we talked about. There's also a dirty darkness here.
In some ways, it smells exactly what you think it would. When you why do I got these Cairdeas? Well, it's the PX and the Triple Wood, and it's aged longer. It's a 10-year age stamp, and I'm like, and this is about what I thought it would smell like.
And they proofed it down with a little bit of water, which if you add it to either of those whiskeys, they get fruitier.
Correct.
And that's what it's done.
Okay, so not only with the fruit though, the one part about the Triple Wood I really liked was this Christmas pine note that went along with. Up on a pine tree, has some dead needles too on the ground. There was a mix between those two, which I thought was done really well with the Triple Wood, which I thought was an underappreciated release.
That's why I did not like that whiskey as much as you do, because that's not my favorite thing.
I love it.
That said, I do get the Christmas pine note here, and I like it in this whiskey because it's balanced with the fruit sweetness
as age.
And it adds to it gives it a dark note that those sweet fruits are giving you. Then it gives it some dark notes. It's the candied cigarette, kind of light, sugary. And then you get that pine note, which is darker. It's just everything here is perfectly balanced. Contrasts, fights, but they don't fight with each other. They work together.
Yes, this sherry note is so beautiful. I'm guessing this Oloroso sherry is also in this, but the PX is a dominant note.
It is. And if you drink the PX versus the triple one, I mean, the PX one was, I would say, a higher percentage of PX, and this clearly is following suit.
What do you mean? You think this bottle had a higher percentage of PX mix as opposed to triple wood?
No. When the triple wood, I'm guessing the amount of Oloroso in there was much less than the PX one.
Oh,
I'm guessing that one had way more PX.
Yeah, so like 20% Oloroso compared to 40% PX or whatever.
Something like that, yeah. And the PX on the PX one is really apparent, and it's almost as apparent here. I mean, it's...
To add to that, Dustin, I think in addition to complimenting this whiskey, I think there's some whiskeys in here older than 10 years old.
Agree completely.
Yeah, I've had this enough times where one of these, I would imagine the triple wood's probably 12 years old.
Yeah, or, I mean, again...
Technically, they're all triple
Of course, also, when they say triple wood, I mean, is it a blend of... Like, the cask they still had, it wasn't pre-vatted where they re-racked it, they just...
Yeah, did they change cask, or did they just take some quarter cask, some bourbon cask? The way I read it, and again, I could be wrong, it was in bourbon, then it got transferred to quarter, then it got transferred to Oloroso, and it's been sitting there in Oloroso. Just like with the PX, it was originally in bourbon, then it went to quarter cask, then it's been sitting in PX. That's my take.
I thought I took it as a vatting, but...
I could be wrong.
Because my thoughts when on this initially was that it was 10-year quarter cask, and they had some substantially older PX casks in here.
Something here feels like older whiskey than 10 years old.
I'm thinking there's 14, 15, maybe even 18-year-old whiskey.
I don't know if I go that far, but I like how you're describing the whiskey because it's rich and it tastes.
Remember the lore? Like that had 20-something-year whiskey in it. I don't think this quite got that old, but it wouldn't shock me if some of the casks, those sherry casks that are going into lore.
One cask was over 20 years old in lore. One.
We're speculating on all that, but anyway.
I heard the mix one time, and I think it was one cask was 21 years old.
Out of how many?
I don't know. 5, 10, 50. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, kind of a difference there, Mike.
There is a big one. I have no idea.
Anyway, and Lore had some nice notes. Remember, you picked Lore over the Laphroaig 18 when we did the verses.
Yeah, it's a good whiskey. 18's coming back.
I can't wait. Review the second we get it.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, like I said, as soon as that one shows up where we can get it, it's getting ordered, and Mike and I are getting together like within a week of getting that bottle.
We're doing a comparison.
Yeah.
With one of the old ones.
I've already been asked by somebody, "Are you going to review an old one if you have one?" And I said, "Of course, we'll have one of those."
Mike has green and white bottles.
We'll
do them all.
Mike doesn't have one open; he's opening it.
Yep.
I'm not giving him a choice.
Yep.
I'm coming over to his house, walking in, and just opening it up and going, "Here you go."
That's the sacrifice I'll make.
And then he's going to look at me and go, "That's the one you're not supposed to open." That's why I do this. My bad.
Leave it to the professional.
He goes, "That's the one that was signed by the master distiller." Yeah. The more I'm nosing this, Mike, the more all the notes are just kind of coming together. And instead of being, this nice cask, this nice peat, this nice, meatiness, it's just, this smells good. And sometimes, we spend so much time talking about the notes that I forget to just bring up the fact that this just smells like sweet, fruity, earthy, meaty yumminess.
Iodine led Laphroaig.
God,
if you like Laphroaig, you're going to love this whiskey. We did. Because when you said that, like, Mike, go right now and buy two. He's like, we'll probably get them cheaper later, but man, buy. And you were not wrong. Now I get them for $125. I saw them come on sites. I'll show them to you later.
Yeah, I'm going to buy more. I'm buying more.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm going to get at least 4 more.
Yeah, it's a good one. We can do it tonight.
We will.
Yeah, go for it. What are you picking up?
Heaven in a glass, man. If you actually read the bottle, I got it just for fun here. Fruit, ginger, peat. I'll grant you there's probably ginger in here. I'll just grant it. That is not a note I am bringing up at all on this whiskey. But they are right. It is a beautiful fruit, and I don't know if there's a distinct note I can get here. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a bit of redness to the fruit. But man, it's meaty, smoky, wonderfulness. Yeah, okay. I mean, I can bring off the iodine. I'm honestly getting a little bit of fall leaves. I'm getting a little bit of even hints of maybe apple cider, where you're getting a little bit of brown sugars and a little bit of apple kind of note coming through. But really, at the end of the day, man, it's just beautiful, meaty, sweet. It's fruity. That's got some red fruits. Some of them are dark and rich. Some of them are lighter. Some sour notes. But it's just good whiskey, and I can't get past just how good this just is as a experience.
Lovely, well-aged, extremely viscous. Initially a huge punch to PX, then instantly tobacco. Tobacco leaves, tobacco smoke.
It's fall leaves, man.
Oh, man. Now, I will say this, going back, I can get ginger. It's on one of the sherry casks. The ginger is in one of those sherry casks. I want to say PX, but McAllen gets it from Oloroso.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's there, but I mean, like that, like the fact that that's one of the 3 notes they have. Come on.
The tobacco note is so rich as soon as you swallow. Man, and I love a good tobacco note on an Isla whiskey. Yeah, there's iodine. This is, so one knock on Laphroaig I've always had is like they kind of came off thin on the finish to me. As compared to Ardbeg or Lagavulin, let's say. This one here, it's thick, rich. Like the directors, the Elixir Distillery 22 or the Signatory 16-year-old from 1998. That type of thick viscosity all the way through the experience, ending in a tobacco note.
I should have mentioned tobacco more. It also has a little bit of mint and has that pine needle note as well in the finish.
It does have the pine needle.
I should have brought those up, but I mean, like I said, man, I don't even want to dwell on that. It's just such a perfect experience.
For a heavily sherried Isla whiskey, it's an incredible experience. And now you're at the end of the butter note. I get that with the quarter cask sometimes. You remember the old Cartridge quarter cask?
Yeah.
It would kind of get to a buttery note kind of on the long finish after some of the more dominant flavors kind of faded.
Now, do you get any of the coconut notes from that one or here or not? Because I could see
that's right. I know, not yet.
Because I could kind of see somebody saying like they get the oil notes. Because
what is it, buttery?
Yeah. The oiliness. Because that's what I was trying to figure out is if the butter could be that coconut oil note.
I mean, it could be that coconut oil. You're right. I hadn't thought about that until you said that, but I do remember that note now.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because I'm getting a lingering like oiliness here that I'm not used to on Laphroaigs in general, other than that quarter cask that you're talking about.
It does.
And as soon as you said that, I'm like, I wonder if that's the butter note he's getting because I don't get butter, but I do get an oiliness that it's almost like an oily vanilla, which is kind of what coconut is. What coconut butter is here.
Well, it is definitely oily. We both agree on that. Heavy oils.
Yeah, it's not explosive in that like David not super high, but it is oily. It's funny. It's actually oilier on the finish than it is up front, which is unique.
I tell you what,
it's not oily up front.
The first time I had this, it was so oily. I was expecting once I put water into it, it'd fog up like Bunnahabhain 12 cask in 2002. Like, it didn't get cloudy. I was expecting more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it was so oil rich. Like, and they even barrel filter this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is. Everything is just so good.
What a dynamite cartridge release. This is the best cartridge release since the 21-year-old. Tell me I'm wrong.
Was that officially a cartridge release, the 21?
Friends of Laphroaig 21 year.
What's his Friends of Laphroaig? I don't know if that's I don't think that was a cartridge. That wasn't like a global release. That was just
I think you're right.
Local.
Okay, so just...
It's the best one I've had.
Yeah.
I've heard the port from like 2013 or something is the best so far, and I haven't had that one.
I don't think I have either.
So if somebody has a sample they want to send, we could do a comparison.
The point is, this is arguably the best cartridge I've ever had.
I'll tell you right now, you have to go to the 25 year to even like compete with this whiskey. It's better than the Lore. It's better than the old 18s.
Probably, yeah. It's a different whiskey.
Yeah, you're right. It's a completely different experience. But Lore is dead on competing with this in a lot of ways.
Because they're sharing it. If you want a heavily sherry Laphroaig, bang.
Yeah.
And you know what? Laphroaig is fun. I've said this before. It's funny with sherry.
And Lore's punchy too, whereas the 18 wasn't punchy.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, the 18 was a different animal. It's a completely
same ABV, but they're just one's punchy, one's refined.
I agree. Well, it's the heavy extra sherry cask maturation for probably one that was older, but
and the youth is playing a factor
for sure.
Same here.
I will say this though: Laphroaig sometimes messes up PX cast and sherry cast finishing just in general. I hated port and wine. I didn't like the PX, Laphroaig, period. So I've had sherry in Laphroaig, and I thought it was awful. But sometimes they do that extremely well. And this time they've done it as well as I've ever had.
Yeah, again, they took all the stuff we like, and they put an age statement on it. Which means they didn't shortcut us at all.
I know. It's still good ABV. If it's not cask strength, fine. 52.4 is still good ABV. Now, I know sometimes the 10-year-old... cask strength Laphroaig sometimes get, 52, usually to 59% ABV. So this isn't watering down much. I've seen a few of them that were low 50s. So it is, and I know sherry will probably be a little bit different than bourbon, but...
Yeah, I mean, my thought is the sherry casks are the higher ABV ones because bigger. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I'm assuming. Yeah, this is just, man.
Dynamite.
They have hit a home run here, guys. Well, Mike, we both have this one. Mm-hmm. But if you don't mind, let me just go ahead and give the most ridiculous score I'm ever going to give a whiskey at this price point.
Well, time for whiskey score time. Dustin, it's my bottle. You go first.
91.
Woo! Wow.
I think this hits at the same level as the 25. The 25 is a better whiskey score-wise on paper. But this is a masterpiece of putting all the stuff you want in a Laphroaig. Everybody who dislikes 25 because it's not punchy enough, it's not aggressive enough, solves it. Everyone who thinks the 10 or some of the other ones are too unrefined, don't have enough refinement, this is more refined. This is absolutely the happy place for Laphroaig, and I will die on that hill. This is one of the best whiskeys they've ever done.
This is a bit of a unicorn, and we've had a lot of Laphroaigs.
Yeah.
Laphroaig, there's a reason that 10 is a staple. The whiskey does well at that age. It's presented well at that age. This is almost the best I've ever seen it presented. I cannot have sherry in my Laphroaig and usually be happier. Yeah. This does it so well, and I love the integration of quarter casks. The extra thickness and oiliness it kind of picks up. They took something about the distillery that I thought was a weakness, which I kind of thought after the smoke, the spirit was a bit thin, and the quarter cask really helped solve that, at least for me. And maybe that's not the reason they did it. Maybe it was just to get an older profile from the whiskey. But for me, one knock I had on that, when you add quarter cask to the equation, it completely erases that flaw for me. I mean, that's it. I'm at a 90 out of 100. Right there with you. This is a dynamite whiskey. I kept going back and forth. Between this and the 18 and the 25, what I prefer?
I know for a fact that 25 is better score-wise in my head, like if I'm picking out like nuances, but
if you were just drinking, would you have this?
I'd rather have this. I'd absolutely rather have this.
I really would too.
We've given the 25 a 91.
And 90, depending on vintage.
Yeah, depending on vintage. And I'm telling you, this is absolutely this is my happy place. I love peat and sherry. Mm-hmm. You're right. Laphroaig not always, the best. They're usually better with bourbon. Mm-hmm. But this is just they killed it. I mean, the only Laphroaig I've had that I am off the top of my head that I think is probably like distinctly better is probably that 21. And even then, I'm not confident I would side by side. Again, they're so different.
It's all bourbon cask maturation, whiskey. I mean, again, it comes back to the flavor profile. Now, if you don't like a big sherry punch, you would probably prefer the 18 and the 25. Yeah. But if you like a big sherry punch in the Laphroaig, man, get this. Yeah. How often have we really led you wrong?
But if you don't dislike sherry and you want bold, those are not as bold.
This is not going to cost you more than 150, 160, 70 bucks.
Yeah. I mean, with shipping and everything, we paid a little bit more. But I mean, this is $200. Just buy it.
Just
buy it.
Yeah, if you like the Laphroaig and have any consideration for our opinion, this is one of those where we got out here as early as we could because we were like, wow.
Yeah, we wanted to give you guys a chance after, of course, we bought our 30 bottles.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
this isn't charity. But yeah, excellent whiskey. Super impressed with this cartridge. The 21. You're right. It was Friends of Laphroaig release, but it wasn't a cartridge, I believe. Not sure though. But
it came in the little bottle. It couldn't have been sold in the U.S.
You're right. You're probably right. Anyway, impressive nonetheless. God. That was the main takeaway here. Super incredible Laphroaig for guys who like Laphroaig. Dustin, until next time, folks.
Happy drinking.
See you then.